welcome to another show of Don't Get This Twisted. I am Rob, along with my co-host as always, Tina. How you doing, Tina?
I am dog tired today.
Yeah,
Just
I can't
got
see
back.
you.
I know. I still don't know what's going on with my camera.
But you sound like you're dragging ass.
I'm dragging ass. I got up at like 6:30 this morning and just has been on the go all day and working. And it's now 7:42 in the evening and I'm hauling ass to get home so that I could do the podcast. Cause God forbid if there's 2 minutes to squeeze out of a day, that's what I want to do. So,
well, yes and no, but we do know that this weekend is the big game.
Yeah, Super Bowl.
So that being said, it's better to do it so we don't have to worry about pinching it in the weekend. And truly, I like to get ahead a little bit. So
because it's a Super Bowl, and every year since I've been 13, I've thrown a Super Bowl party for my dad. So that's like the expectation, right? We're having a Super Bowl party on Super Bowl, which is fine. I love doing it. It's a good time, and it's because I want to do it, not because it's a holiday where I have to do it. So I dig Super Bowl Sunday. Anyway, and then, my favorite thing to do on the weekends is go riding. And since this is not my weekend to work, I'm going riding on Saturday. We were gone, 12 hours last weekend. So I want to see how, I used to be worried because the goal was to get to Vegas. Well, now I'm just waiting for the weather to get better because I'm taking the bike to Vegas. But I know now that I could get there because we've been riding for like 12 hours straight, like stopping for lunch or whatever. But that's a long day.
But Vegas is like 4.5 hours, 5 hours.
It'll be a piece of cake. We could do that before lunch. So,
hit Barstow.
Yep.
Get some gas.
And continue on. Yeah.
So I am always coming up with stuff because I watch the craziest things in the morning on YouTube before I go to work. And it was another red pilled, thing. But I heard this girl talking about wife material, and she lost her damn mind, saying that if a man ever says that you're wife material, run. And I was like, and she said it was more like based in being submissive and being a slave to the kitchen and doing laundry, and they don't care. Men don't care about anything other than that, and a bunch of other things. And I, in the morning before work, I kind of get a few minutes to sit down and kind of ruminate and chill for a second. Some of the shit that I see in the morning pisses me off. It makes me upset for my drive to work.
And then I just started why you were listening to that, because that would piss me off too. And I don't want to start my day like that.
But for me, it's now I try to get ideas for the pod, because like these are like real social things. People are losing their damn mind over crazy stuff. So I know I added to our list of shows, and I was like, husband and wife material. And for me, I just kind of put it down just willy nilly. And then I was like, maybe we should do it on what we think that means today. Because, we've talked about it before. Marriage, everyone's running from relationships. I mean, men are kind of done. Women are done. We're all fighting for the same 1%. It's like this crazy, really crazy thing. So I was like, what is it? What is, wife material and husband material? If we go back to like, let's say the modern era of that, which would be kind of 40s, 50s, 60s, right? Where it was like, you fell in love with the high school sweetheart, and after you came back from war, you got married. And then, and it was like, and I know that seems kind of like weird, But like those, they left boys and came back men. They wanted to get married. These guys were like sick of getting shot at by Nazis and were like, you've been with me this whole time. You're my sweetheart. And they married each other. And I think that obviously in that time period, women really weren't working. If they were, it was like very like small hours. They
took in like ironing or taking
maybe
care
answering
of somebody's
phones.
Kid. Yeah.
They were phone operators, but they were doing a lot of shit during the war.
Right.
So like they worked, but when their honey came home, they were like, time to be a domestic wife, which was, and don't get me wrong, different time. You could buy a house for nothing. Women didn't have to work. You had babies and you raised great children.
Mm-hmm.
Then came the 50s, right? Which would be pretty much those kids, right? So out of that came like the late 50s, early 60s. They were the kids of those 40s. So they pretty much had the same similar values of, I'm going to do this. My man's going to go to work. We're going to raise a family. And again, once your kids were of age to go to school, you went to work, right? And you came home before they got off because we had good employers then.
Well, and you had to have dinner done.
Yeah, but we had good employers. Like you would probably go and like do some paperwork before 2:00. And then the kids got off from school and you could go home and, do your thing. And then, obviously the 60s came with the hippie generation and the first wave of feminism. Then shit started going sideways. Not in a bad way, but did change things. But I still think the core beliefs were the same, right? People still wanted families. They still wanted, most of those core belief systems.
Mm-hmm.
Then like our generation of being born in the 70s, I still think was a product of that because I look at our parents and they were very much the same. Until the 80s came.
Yeah, until the 80s.
And then the 80s happened to be like the bubble burst of divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know for sure. I'm sure I could Google it, but maybe divorce laws got better in the late 70s, 80s. I'm going to assume that, child support and alimony and a bunch of things got better. So people started doing it. And I think that's where everything kind of went sideways. Also, the 80s were like the decade of decadence and indulgence and lots of narcotics.
With the 80s, like everybody seemed to have money to spend. Like nobody was struggling hard at that time. And even if you look at fashion, like fashion was bigger. The big shoulder pads and the big blousey pants and the 4 pairs of socks and the tennis shoes weren't little kids anymore. They were now Reeboks that were high tops. And so, and layers of color and color and color. So it's amazing to see how in the 80s, how hair was bigger and blonder in the 80s. Oh, fabulous times. But it went with having an indulgent kind of lifestyle. Everybody had a little bit more at the time and things were reasonably priced and you could live off of what you were making. It was cool.
But then again, like how many of our friends came out of that divorced? Like
two out of my like core people, there was like just 2 families.
Just 2? I knew many.
No, that weren't divorced.
Oh, that weren't. Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
My family was one of them.
There was many, many divorces then.
Yeah.
Then the 90s came, and I think what our generation saw with the divorces made us maybe a little gun shy to get married because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But still jumped in and, morality jumped in over that kind of thing. And you said, I could do better than my parents, maybe. Yeah, I think a lot of that kind of happened. But the core beliefs, I think, were still there. Then, obviously we got married, got divorced, raised a child, did things where I think now, at least things I'm hearing, millennials have been married way less. Lots of single millennials.
Mm-hmm.
So they definitely, and I think they're just the me generation, right? They're worried about me.
You give kids as a whole everything and make them accountable for nothing. That's what you get.
Yeah, pretty much. That's true. and I mean, and that's not a knock on them. We're the ones who did it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not to, I don't want, we kind of have to shit on Gen X a little bit because of it, because we kind of,
we were the parents.
But I think we also came from the divorced families as well, or some of us.
Yeah.
So we thought we got to make sure that our kids don't end up like us, and we have to do this and we have to do that. So I think lots of that happened there. So millennials started the whole I don't want to get married thing. I would say on the more massive thing.
Right.
So that generation is the one that is now in their, late 30s, early 40s.
Early 30s even, aren't they?
Yeah, but I'm talking about, I want to use the latter version of that as kind of a going backwards. So if you use the latter version of that, a lot of these people are still single or have had early marriage and divorce, right?
Or even living with their parents.
Yes, that's very true. So I think that what people think of when they start dating as wife material or husband material is definitely different. Where I think our generation still has the mentality of homemaker, but with the reality of being a partner, right? Where we know that you have to have two incomes. You have to, you have to realize that the man generally can't support, at least in California, can't support the household. And I just think that now our generation also is probably a tad more realistic when it comes to how things are done around the house. So because of, being latchkey kids and some of us divorced for a long time, I understand, the next relationship I go into, I don't expect my girlfriend or wife to do everything. That's absurd. But it's just crazy. Not only that, I think that if you think that way, you just have less time to spend together. If one is doing one thing and one is doing another, if you're all doing the housework together, there's more time to do things together.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's where the reality of late 40s, 50s, our generation sees it. I think wife material is still very much the same than it was maybe for our parents, how we think about it. I think that millennials just don't think about it. Wife material and husband material are so far off the map that they don't even go after it. And if they do, the expectations are so high that they're never going to meet them. I've talked about it on here before. It's like women want over 6 feet, make 6 figures, own a house, own their own car, well endowed, good looking, all these crazy. I mean, to get that, you're really searching for 1% or less of the population.
Well, and you're missing you're missing a key ingredient to wife material or husband material is there needs to be a connection that goes beyond anything, any looks, any size, any color, any religion, like chemistry. If you don't have chemistry, you can't get to the point of being married
Yeah,
and
agree.
having anything be sustainable. So, we could look until we're,
Blue in the face.
90, and the point is if there's not chemistry, there isn't anything. There has to be chemistry.
I agree. I think, look, we all look facially, right? Everything looks face value. Sure. Look, men, we're visual creatures. Do we like pretty little things? Absolutely. But I think, yes, I think that looks help, but they also come with downsides. If you have, let's say you're an average man and you have a supermodel looking girlfriend, you better be the most confident man on the planet. Because if you don't, every man's going to be, looking, courting, seeing, looking for a crack in the egg, hoping that you fumble the ball, whatever it is. Where, and I'm going to use this and I don't mean it as an insult. And maybe for sure I don't, because I think I'm very average. Average looking people who get together, that means most people think that they're attractive. Most people go, oh, they have pretty hair, pretty skin, blue eyes, this, whatever. Features that are attractive. Those people who get together have longer relationships, better chemistry, less worry in the relationship, lots of other things.
Average looking people, you're saying?
Yes, when you put average people together, which is most of us.
Okay.
Is what I'm trying to say. Most people who are of average everything.
Right.
That means, you don't have an eye going sideways like I did. Like just things that are, I'm talking about regular everyday people have a better chance of being together than if, one is overly attractive and the other isn't, or, whatever it is. What I'm trying to say is that once you get to the average, let's just say we all go with an average person. This is where you're 100% correct about chemistry. Because if you let the average person in, which means you find both find each other attractive or something about them attractive, right? Like you could be at a place where there's a girl who's, and I hate, I'm going to start using words that I don't mean them in the way they are going to come through, but let's say below average. Well, I have to use those because we're going to have a scale, right? Below average, but is fucking hilarious. Right? You meet him and you're like, oh yeah, but you end up talking around with a bunch of other people and you find out that she's got a sick sense of humor. It's dark as shit. She makes you laugh, whatever joke you tell that's off color, she giggles at and then comes up and says, hey, that was really fucking funny. All of a sudden, that girl who's a 6 becomes a 10. Because you're like, oh shit, you laughed at that? Like, you thought that shit was funny? So you're right. That's chemistry. And there has to be a break somewhere in there. So for me, I still think wife material is, for most men, if you're going to get married and you're of age, will she be a good mother?
Right.
Right. And if that's your goal, right, is to have a child at some point, whatever it is, to me, that means a lot. And maybe it's because I'm 50 something and I have a kid.
Yeah. My ex told me that he fell in love with me when he saw how I was with the kids that were around me and how I was very protective of them. That was what he was attracted to.
It
and he didn't even want to have kids.
I didn't either. I didn't want to have kids.
But he was attracted to that.
When I got with my ex-wife, she already had two.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to have kids.
Right.
I could have got married and raised my two girls and been on my merry way and whatever it was. I blame my brother for wanting to have a kid because he had one. And then I saw how happy he was. And I was like, I better do this because baby fever is real.
Yeah.
It really is.
Gotcha.
But at the end of the day, I knew that my ex-wife was a good mom.
Mm-hmm.
We can argue some things after my son was born, right? Or much later. But all in all, I would never shit on her and say she wasn't a good mom because that wouldn't be true. She was such a good mom. She let me take my son.
Yeah.
So, I can say that, but I still look at older women and see how, like, let's say they meet my son, how they react to him and how I'm going to say it, but some people are very motherly to him.
Mm-hmm.
I have had someone that was around him that was very motherly to him. And I found it utterly attractive.
I get
utterly attractive. And I think that's because, him and his mom don't have the greatest relationship. And it's not like she tried to have that relationship with him. That's just who she is.
Yeah.
And it was
she had already raised much older kids and was over it.
Correct.
To some degree.
So yeah, she had grandkids.
Oh.
So but to watch that. And then also another one who has kids, who doesn't have grandkids. Also very, I could see the motherly aspects of her. So to me, that's attractive. And I think that most men, if that's your future and that's what you're looking for, that's important because that's the person that's going to be raising your offspring.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want no party girl and club girl out, that's just not what most men are looking for. Matter of fact, I would tell you, most men, if they find you in a club, the first thing they're going to do is get you out of it and hopefully you never go back. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. I mean, look, and I hate, there's a great country song. It's called Keep Her Wild. And it's basically the song's about if you get with your girl, make sure you keep her wild. And I think that there is something to that.
Make sure you let her be her is what it comes down to. It's just
correct. But you still have to, you have to be inside the relationship. I hear all these young girls or young women on some of these things that just are like, oh, I'm just going to do what I want and it'll be okay. And then they wonder why their men break up with them out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. Like, you can't be a guy who goes golfing every weekend.
Yeah.
You want your relationship to end? Do that shit. It'll be over.
If she's at work, go ahead and go. Like, she's busy. She's doing
exactly.
a thing.
But it can't be your only thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the next thing that happens is while you're golfing, she's at the club. I mean, it's fair play. And you have to, if you're going to get in a relationship, let's just say that, work on the relationship. The whole point of being together is to not have a single life anymore.
Right.
You want a single life? Stay fucking single. It's pretty easy.
It's very easy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll tell you, it's easy. I've done it for 15 years. Um, but I think the material of what we are looking for is still the same as a man. You know, I want a good woman. I want her to be, and I don't want to say submissive because I don't think that that's it. I think it's both people have to have a moral ground that is similar.
Yes.
It's not, oh, you can't do this. It's that, hey, don't do this without me, and I won't do this without you. Don't disrespect me, and I won't disrespect you.
Mm-hmm.
These are pretty common ways of living.
Well, you want to always hold your spouse in the highest light. Like that means you don't talk shit to them. You don't act like a fool. Like you want to give them, and it goes both ways, men and women. You want to give them so much respect because that is the person that mirrors who you are. And you want to hold them in the highest light. I don't think that people know that. I mean, I don't think I knew that even when I got with my ex, but you learn that, like,
correct.
You learn it. But if you don't do that, like the disrespect, it does create a huge gap in between you and the person that you're trying to build a life with.
And then it builds resentment.
Totally does.
So I would say from a man's standpoint, wife material is when I say on the surface, I think I'm going to say in general, a very wholesome woman who shows respect to herself and the family. Extracurricular activities at home can be whatever you want them to be. Like when people go, oh, she's so wholesome. Maybe she's not at home. You don't have to be wholesome in the bedroom. Every man wants a whore in the bedroom and Beaver Cleaver's mom on the street. Right. But you want people who are respectful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the bigger thing. Like you said, like, you know how many couples I've seen fight outside, like in public places?
Probably a lot.
It's absurd how many. And look, there's something to being enough to say, don't spill our shit in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because here's the thing. Once you do it one time, the seal is broken on the friends who now reverberate outside of that.
Right.
The first time you guys raise your voices in front of friends, one side or the other is going, see what I tell you, you should dump that bitch. Or see, you'd be better off single. There's so many better guys out there. Then it just casts doubt on everything. Mm-hmm. If you should be adult enough to say, we're not doing this right now. We're going to, we'll fix this when we go home. Let's not make a thing of it. And if we're that upset, let's go home right now.
Mm-hmm.
But once alcohol is introduced, that there's a whole other thing. You have to be able to step back.
I think that alcohol is kind of a truth serum. So if you're fighting through that, then there's a breakdown somewhere that you need to work on.
Yeah. But I think it's also it's a truth serum, but it's also it lets everyone's guard down. So you might end up doing things or saying things that just slip out. Like, you could argue and go, see, you're just like your mom. And where you don't mean it, it's just things pop out of your head because you're mad. That's why I say you should do your best to step back for a second if you're in an argument and go, look, neither of us want to say anything that's going to ruin this. Let's take a break and then come back and fix things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are things that you look for in your mate. These are
I also
material.
think that you need to come to the table knowing this is your person. Like, this is the one that you're choosing every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to show up every single day. Like, it's so easy that it's hard. You know, that if this is your person,
Yes.
you know, spend time, but then, you know, you get aggravated with them, or they say something you don't like, or they grab you the wrong way and you're not in the mood, and how fast that could change. But the trick is you work on it not changing. You work on no matter what, that's still your person, and try to be as okay as you can with them.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think husband material is?
Well, my reference would be like my grandfather, my dad, my uncle, my brother, my ex. And they were the ones that provided. They were the ones that kept you safe. They were the ones that showed up when nobody else wanted to. They're ones that normally do like the bread making. You know, they're bringing home the paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they assist in anything that mom, like the mom needed, or, you know, I can't open this jar. Can you open this jar? Well, you know, the weeds are getting high or long in the backyard. You got to trim them down, or the car broke down. You need to go and take it to get it fixed. Like, in my world, when I was growing up and when I was married, that was things that my husband took care of.
Mm-hmm.
Now that left a lot for me because I had a job too, but my job was initially set up because I wanted to be a mom. So I picked a profession that I could be a mom and be there for my kids and still work and make money.
Right.
So my job came kind of second to the family and the house and my husband and then my kid. But there was a sense of urgency, like I still needed to pay my bills, do my thing, so that it had to be managed. Then I did take on the cooking. My ex was not somebody that would ever cook. I'm impressed that he does it now, because for 22 years he did not.
Right. Funny how being single will make you do that, though.
Right. And you know, making sure the house stayed clean and the homework was done, and you know, that was all part of being a mom. But my job range changed depending on what I wanted out of it. Like, if I wanted certain things, I had to show up more. If I didn't want them, it wasn't, you know, I didn't have to do too much because I didn't want it to work for it anyway.
Right.
But I was the one that took everybody to the hospital. I was the one that got called when when a child got in trouble. You know, I took care of all that stuff. So it was very much like old school values. Mm-hmm. However, I was not submissive at all. But there were times when my husband was right, and I would concede to that. I didn't see that as a weakness. I saw it as, you have a partner, and your partner's pretty freaking smart. So if it makes sense, just do it, you know? Mm-hmm. But I don't see I don't think anybody in my life would say I was a weak person.
No, I don't think being submissive is
but it is
weak.
Now. Like, now it's considered weak.
Probably, yes.
It takes a lot of strength to be a mom and a wife and a business owner and a caregiver and the maid and the errand runner. There's nothing weak about doing all that, but you do it because who else is going to do it? It's not a man or woman thing. It's like it's a life thing. Like, who's going to do that if you don't do it? Do it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I believe in certain gender roles, right?
Yeah.
Although, I would argue the fact that if you're getting with somebody who's been single a long time, they probably have already done both sides of them, right? But like, mowing the lawn, I would say that that's a man thing to do. And that's just maybe because the generation I come from.
Well, I think our generation would think it was funny if the man was in there cooking and the woman was pushing a lawnmower. It wouldn't look right to us.
Mm-hmm. So like, I think that there are some traditional gender roles that work. Mm-hmm. I don't think that a woman should have to clean the whole house, but that's me. But that's, I think, being single for so long.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I first got divorced, I had male friends of mine, half joking. They were like, "Who's going to do your laundry now?" And I went, "What do you mean? Who do you think did it before I was married?" Mm-hmm. Me. I cooked before I was married because I lived by myself before I was married. So like, this wasn't anything new. I cooked and cleaned. I had my own apartment. I did things already. Mm-hmm. So for me, I thought that was funny. And I know that it was like half haha, but some of it was true. So I have told people that if I ever got with them, like, I don't need you to do my laundry. I know how to do my laundry. I'm a big boy and I can, and I'm not one for like leaving it in a basket after it's out of the dryer.
Mm-hmm. Just gets wrinkled.
And I want it done.
Yeah.
So I come in, throw it on the bed, hang all my shit, do my socks, underwear, throw them in a drawer. I want it done. I want to be able to sit down the basket and go, accomplished. Next.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's just easier to get it done. It will sit for months if you don't pick it up and put it away.
And I know people that are 50 years old that still do the same thing that they did when they were 20. and it's of someone who I lived with.
Oh, wow.
And so, and then cooking's kind of a weird thing for me where I love eating home cooked meals. When someone home cooks a meal, it's absolutely wonderful. I also love sharing the cooking. Like I would love to get a flat top grill. You get a grill, you have a barbecue, you cook outside, you can eat outside, you get a little table, everything's kosher. It's wonderful. But I also meal prep for myself at work. So I would do all that still because I'm anal about it and I want to, and I already know how to do it and I would do it every time. So I don't think I would take away things from anybody. I think a woman that I would get with would be like, cool, you're going to cook your own lunch. Fucking more power to you.
Right.
Just do the dishes.
Yeah.
And I think even that, if you're an older person and you can turn things that are, well, actually, if you're whatever the age, but older people, I'm going to use as an example for everyone going forward. If you can share things and do it as being company, it's the greatest. Mm-hmm. If you have a dishwasher and you can both like, one washes and one loads and it's a good time and you're still talking, that's amazing. It's any good time spent with your mate will make for a better relationship long run. Mm-hmm. Whether it's cooking outside together, doing the dishes together, mopping the floors, one does the bathroom, whatever it is. And like I said before, when you have this time condensed, because one person's not taking the full load and mad and bitching because you're playing video games or whatever, you can then have quality time together, whether that's sitting on the couch watching a movie or out and about with your friends.
But it doesn't, you're spending quality time with them, just doing things together. Like
that's what I mean, though.
That is totally quality time.
It's quality time, but it's usually time designated as work.
Yeah.
housework, whatever you want to
but
call
like
it.
when I was younger, we all had to clean the house. All four of
Yes,
us did it.
together.
And the radio was on and mom would grab us and, kind of dance with us and stuff. And we would act silly. That was like our time together. We'd jump off the furniture and dad and mom would dance together. And it was cool because everybody was doing something, but we were all in the same vicinity doing what we needed to do. And we made it fun. And that ended up being things that I remember to this day. Like when we were really little, mom and dad dancing in the living room and we were all looking grungy because we were all doing our housework and everything. But I don't know. Those are like, to me, that's when you have quality time, when you could be together and doing what you have to do and loving each other through it and just, giving it some love and sharing some time.
Exactly. And I think that's the biggest thing about what marriage material is. Is it someone you can spend boring time with?
Boring time. It's just somebody that wants to be with you. Like,
no, but I agree. But boring time that most, and I'm putting it in air quotes for people listening. Most people, look at things like that. That's just boring time. To me, that is quality time.
That's
if you
life.
can sit with somebody and just sit and chat and talk about small things, and one person has the cat or the dog in their lap and everyone's having a good time. You may be listening to some music. That is real time. That's not, hey, we're going out with our friends and we're not planning this and we have to get dressed up. This is what regular human beings do.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like a horrible thing to say, boring time, but life generally is like 80% boring time. So if you can,
life requires a lot of have tos and got to get them done sort of situations. So
correct.
You got to find the fun in that though, because that is life. That's very much life. And if you're with somebody and you like being with them, like that's going to be a good time no matter what you're doing. It just is.
Agree. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, some of the best times I had being married was just being around my ex and the, like, I don't know, the in the moment things that you did while you were busy living. Like I remember one time he decided he was going to jump up on the counter and do a handstand on the kitchen counter, that he climbed up the wall and then it went to the ceiling and he was able to kind of, I don't know, do a handstand, a sort of handstand. And that was just, I was in the kitchen doing something. We were having drinks. We were just hanging out. And next thing I know, do. I have the video of it. It was so in the moment. And we were working and getting stuff done. I was cooking. But I don't know. We made that fun. There was I remember there being a lot of fun where he and I would just being us and doing things in the same general area, or just he would come in and be hungry and waiting for me to cook, and he would do something just to entertain me, and it made life go by so much smoother.
Those small moments are what makes a mate the best.
Well, I think that's part of being a husband would be to keep the mom happy, but not buy her everything, not dote on her. Well, yeah, kind of dote on her, but with affection, not with buying crap and whatever. Being, you got to find somebody that you could be around, because you're going to be around them a lot, and you're going to be around them at the worst times, when they're snoring, when they're sick, when they're tired, when they're hungry, when they're frustrated, when work is overwhelming. Like you're going to get your person at their worst. So you have to be in a place where you just love them through that. Because you have to be a partner.
Well, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were talking about getting rid of like clothes. They have too many clothes and blah, blah, blah. And look, buying things for your mate is great, right? If I want to see my mate in something, I'm going to buy her something that I think she's going to look pretty in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, this person said something that was, I mean, the truth. And on most things, she said, things are just things.
Yeah, that's so true.
And
it's just stuff.
It's just stuff
that clogs a freaking closet up faster than.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And at the end of the day, I think that's kind of what you just said. Like, look, buying things for your mate is great. It's fun. I'm a gift giver, so it's hard for me not to. But that being said, it is true. Like, there's just things, you can't take them with us. You can have every car in the world, but if your relationship sucks, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would rather have somebody that I can spend the boring time with. And that could be, in a lawn chair laying out by the pool.
That's a good time, though. Or on a raft in the pool, because that's what I do.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, like, just music on. You don't have to be talking to each other the whole time. But that is time well spent. Then you get up and you go in the pool and you bullshit with each other and you ha-ha and whatever. Things are just things. Life is the best thing you can have. So to me, what we've kind of talked about is like the more traditional marriage or mate, what you're looking for in a wife and a man, are probably the same that they were in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Just on a different scale. The same morality part, except now you are partners. The gender roles have very much leaked into each other because of being single so long. A lot of people aren't getting married until they're in their mid 30s now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're coming into a relationship, you have probably been single for a long time. Or you're coming into relationships from divorces, which is a whole other monster. Right? So, you have to look at the larger picture and realize that we all need something that is going to fill us mentally and physically well before financially.
Yeah.
Because if that's all you're looking for, good luck. Because you're never going to be happy with the brass ring. You're always going to continue to try to pull it from somewhere else. Where, we've talked about it on the podcast before. I think men are just a different beast. We don't give a shit what women do for a living. We want to be happy with them. And every metric I've seen and every guy on these YouTube videos will tell you, like, they don't give a shit. They just want, if you can bring money to the relationship, help out at home, they don't want a CEO. They want someone who's gonna just be a mate.
Yeah.
And
what's wrong with being a woman and being soft and still being strong, still being capable, still being
right? Nothing. There's nothing wrong with being strong female and being feminine.
Well, and still being a partner.
Of course. Yeah. And again, I think that's why a lot of people who are on who make tons of money end up having to have a woman who's like that. Right. Yeah. Because you're on that kind of same level but I think most men, and again, I think women long run also want a capable mate. Do they want somebody who's going to go to work and bring home money and not be lazy? And sure, like those are things that just women look for in a partner because of DNA from 1,000 years. The only problem now is that all these things that have been built into us, we don't need any more, right? We don't go hunting with bows and arrows, and we don't go, the women aren't, washing the laundry in the river. It's so we're using a lot of this old DNA that's been locked into us and trying to put it into a modern time where we have a computer that's in our hand 24 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I still think, without going too far outside the bell curve, most people are still looking for the same values. They want someone who's going to come home and treat them good. They want somebody who wants to be there. They want somebody who's got the same moral, things
Compass.
that they can, similar things, obviously, that they agree in. And just someone who wants to be there with them.
Yeah.
I think if young people, like I listen to my son sometimes and like they're jaded. Oh, man, are they jaded? But I think that they might get out of that millennial curve. Because my son even told me, he goes, I see myself getting married. He's talked about having a kid later on in life. He's like, oh yeah, I hope I can raise my kid like this. And, they'll do this with me like you did, like go to concerts together, and I can teach them how to play video games and like all these certain things. So he's talking about that as a future.
Right.
Where I wasn't. I truly thought I'd never have a child. So, there's hope. I see at least, and he's very similar where even he said like it's his girls going for some kind of going to school for medical stuff. But even he said, he's like, that's cool, but that's not like, it doesn't matter. Like, okay, cool. That's kind of a good thing. Because I think he also just wants to be happy. Doesn't want to come home to a house that feels like a nuclear weapon's about to go off. And I think both sexes want that. I don't think women want to come home and argue. Like, no. That's just not reality. Everyone wants to come home to a place of refuge from the real world where you can be yourself. You can say off-color things. You can fart if that's what you do. Although most women don't do that. And just be your best to be happy.
Yeah. And
that's hard enough.
It's not though. It's not. It's a choice. Like but when I was younger, I used to think that waking up and being unhappy was just the way to be. And then like growing up with my mate at the time, and he said to me one day, you could wake up happy if you wanted to. And I had a hard time with that because I had a lot on my plate and I didn't know how to deal with any of it.
You're like, no,
and it was hard. You know what I mean? And then one day it was like, I'm just going to try. I'm going to try to be happy. And this was years ago and it's taken years to do this. And when I woke up this morning, I laid in bed and I'm like, why am I smiling? Like I got up. I know I got to go to work. I know I got to go and make sure my dad's okay before I go to work. I had stuff I had to handle. But I woke up like in the best mood, and there was no rhyme or reason to the mood other than I worked that hard to kind of get happy, and just be good and happy with myself. And it made me feel good today. I just actually noticed it today. It's taken a lot of years to come to that point, but it's all a choice. Like you can make things work. I watch these stupid shows where like The Amazing Race or Survival and stuff. And whoever you're paired up with, you can make it work. It's all attitude and willingness to participate. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's what would make a good mate, is just somebody that's going to show up, willing to participate, and just wants to love on you. It doesn't take much more than that. I mean, more comes from that.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to start it and to find a good mate, like start with that.
Right. That's a good point. That's a really solid point.
Thanks.
You choose to be happy.
Yeah.
There is something to that.
Because whether you make a relationship work or not, it starts with you. Nobody could say it's all you. It's all you. It's not. It's never one-sided. It's a big mess
true.
all the way across.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Well, and one person can't make it happy.
No
matter what you do. You could be the greatest mate on the planet, and you won't be happy unless the other person wants it to be happy.
Right.
It's a great point. Any last words?
If you want to make it work, it will. And if you don't, it won't.
Yep. And look, when you're out there looking for your mate, stick to your guns, and I agree with Tina. It's chemistry over everything. Because chemistry will give you a long, happy relationship.
Yep.
So. All right. Check us out on all the social medias. Man, I'm jamming on them now. You can go to Facebook, our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our X page. I update every Wednesday, Friday with what happened for the week with the shows. And check us out. Pretty much people listen, although a lot of people are listening on another way, and I can't put my finger on it yet, but it's mostly Apple and Spotify. We are like 60 downloads away from 10,000.
Wow.
So, yeah, we're a jamming, and look, we appreciate it. 10,000 downloads is pretty cool. And I want to say it's like almost 5,000 different people have listened to this show all over the world. So we appreciate it. And it's an opinion show. Don't get it twisted. Keep coming back every Wednesday. That's Tina. I'm Rob. We'll see you in a week. Bye.
See ya.